YouTube channel. So in this video we will going to start a new session in which we will learn about the Docker stack. Okay, so let's start with the Docker stack. So in the Docker swarm, the stack is a group of interrelated services that share the dependency and can be orchestrated and scaled together. Okay, it means if you are running application and that application is using 2 or 3 or many interrelated Docker swarm services, then you can create a single stack means a YAML file, just like a Docker compose YAML file for these services, like we did in the Docker compose. Okay, because they are interrelated, so that they can communicate to each other and one network or two network. So even you can create one overlay network or two overlay network for those services or those application for which you created via that Docker stack, that YAML file. You can easily manage all the application. They share the dependency as well, and orchestration of this service is quite easy if we are running the stack and in some time if you want to scale up the service. So suppose you are running the application with the help of the Docker stack, and in later you want to scale your number of that task inside the application or inside the service. You can easily scale that specific number of tasks inside the service or application. Okay, so you can do that as well, means scaling that part you can do as well. A single stack is capable of defining and coordinating the functionality of the entire application. Okay, some complex application may have multiple stack as well. Okay, so it's not mandatory that if you are running a application that have only single stack, that have multiple stack even. Okay, so it is not like that the single application can use only single stack. A single application can use multiple stack as well. Okay, so Docker stack use compose.yaml format and complete the swarm specific property for service deployment. File name could be like a docker slash stack dot YAML. Okay, so if you have Docker stack YAML in your project, then you can start your stack with a single command. We will discuss that command, all the command we will discuss, and we will go through the lab as well. Okay, so we are going to discuss this first. We will develop application from the scratch, and then we will start with the Docker compose or Docker stack compose file. Okay, so let's log in on the AWS console for doing that lab. So friend, I'm logging in my node. So in this node, the Docker, this is a fresh node I created, so Docker is not installed in this node. So I'm going to firstly install the Docker with the help of the yum command. The command will be the yum install Docker. This command will help for installing or that Docker that service in this node. So it requires your confirmation. Press Y for providing your confirmation, then press enter. So installing that all the necessary dependency and the required package for the Docker container. Okay, so Docker installed successfully. Let me clear out the screen. Okay, and now I'm going to start the Docker service with the help of the service Docker start. Okay, after that I'm going to enable that Docker swarm with the help of Docker. Let's verify the Docker install or not with the help of Docker -version command. Okay, Docker install is the version is the 25.0.8. Now I'm going to install or initiate it docker swarm in this node with the help of the docker swarm init command. Okay, let me clear out the screen, or let me verify the docker initialize or not in this node with the help of docker info command. So in the docker info you can found that swarm is in active mode. Okay, so now I'm going to create the compose.yaml file. Okay, that is the stack.yaml file, we call that. And that stack, with the help of the dash stack, we will going to create a application, and that application will create that required overlay network. So I'm not going to create overlay network or the services via the docker command. I will create a stack, that docker stack.yaml file, and when we pass that file, okay, that file automatically create all the necessary services, even network which is required for that application. Okay, so firstly I'm just verify any services is running in my this node or not with the help of the docker service ls, this is command. So no any service is running. Let's verify any container is running on my this node with the help of docker container ls. So no any container, even no any service is running in my laptop right away. So now I don't have any file, so I'm going to create one file. The file name will be docker. The file name will be nano is the editor. I'm going to create the one file. The file name will be docker slash compose dot yaml. The file format will be the YAML. Okay, so let me put the content. Okay, so the first thing is that this is a YAML file. Okay, I'm also provide all the details how we write this YAML file. Okay, and we write our file from the scratch. Okay, so first we'll define the service that version. So version will be the 3. Okay, then the second thing is we define the services. So suppose if you want to create multiple services for one application, so you can assign all the services detail inside this services parameter. Okay, services under these services. Okay, so for this demo I will going to create only one service. Okay, the service name I assign as a web. The service name I assign as a web. So this is my service name. So once I deploy this YAML file, my service name will be web. Okay, then the service here which you define here, the service will take which that docker image. So you define the docker image detail here. So if you have image in that docker hub, you can simply define that image like nginx colon latest, that the version, or you can say tag. Otherwise, suppose you have your own docker image which you push inside your docker hub account or inside other your private repository account, you can just define here. Okay, like username and then the that image name and then tag. Accordingly you can define like username slash repo and tag. But in this example I'm taking nginx latest image, so I define here as nginx and tag is the latest. Okay, so I'm doing under these services. So I'm going to create only one service which is which is name is the as a web, and inside the web I define as a which image it should take. So it should take nginx latest image. Then deploy, how many replica we want, you define here. Suppose for this web service we want 2 replica. 2 replica means 2 container, 2 individual tasks we want. Okay, so accordingly if you want to 5 tasks or 10 tasks, you can mention here. For this lab I will go to get the 2 tasks. Okay, so replicas, in the under the replica section you can define how many replicas or how many container for a specific service you want in your application. Sources, this is that additional feature I use. So here you can define how many CPUs or how many memory you want to assign that specific task. Suppose you want to run 2 tasks for individual this service, web service. So that individual tasks will require 0.1 that CPU, but 10% of one CPU. 1.1 means 10% of single core, okay, and 15 MB of RAM. So individual task will take 10% of your single core. So whatever the capacity of your CPU, it will take 10% of the CPU capacity. So here I've defined point 1, and it will take 15 MB of memory. So individual every task will take this much of resources, okay. Then here I also mentioned in the comment section, these all the comment section I mentioned all these details, okay. So it will easy to you can understand all this detail, okay. Then the next point, we define the restart policy. So restart policy, we define the condition here restart policy. So we define the condition as a on failure. So on failure means if suppose you require two tasks, if any one task will got failed and the container is going to restart, so automatically this service will start the new container if any container got failed, okay. So this is a condition we define on failure, okay. Port, you define the port. What is the port you define for that host or container port? So you define here. So I'm going to define port number 80 for the node port and port number 80 for the same container port, okay. So here under the these services, we define the one service which is the web service, and under the web service we define image, we define the Docker image. Then deploy, under deploy we define the replica, how many replica you require, and the resources limit, okay, how many CPU or how many memory limit you require for individual task. Then restart policy means if any task getting failed, so how that service will behave, okay. And then we define the port. So port not that this port option is not under the deploy option. So port is the individual identity under the web service, okay. So port we define as a 80 port for the node port and 80 port for the container port, okay. And network, so they basically service create under which network. So I define as a network is the webnet. So this webnet network is not available in my node right now. So automatically this YAML file will create the webnet overlay network, and under this webnet overlay network, this web service will be deployed. So I define that which overlay network under this service will be deployed. So define as a webnet. So this is a portion, this complete portion for the services. Suppose you will require other services same way, so you can define the service under this again, okay, in this section. Like suppose we have one service for web, secondly you can define the other service like web 2 or web 3, and all these parameters you need to define, okay. So this complete para section will for the services. Again we have other section for network. So it will create the network name will be the webnet. So firstly it will create the webnet overlay network, and once the webnet overlay network will create it, then after that it will be deploy this web service under this webnet overlay network, okay. So this is a complete that stack compose YAML file. I think you understand, okay. If you have still any doubt, please let me know in the comment section. So I'm going to save this file, okay, with Control O, press enter, and Control X for exit. So file, I saved this file, okay. So let's verify with the help of cat command. So Docker, then the file name I missed, Docker, okay. So let me rename the file name first with the help of mv command, mv, then docker to docker dash compose dot yaml, okay. So let's verify the content even as well with the help of cat command. So the content is available, okay, all the same content. Let me clear out the screen. So let me verify that I don't have any overlay network created yet. With the help of docker network ls, so only this ingress default overlay network is created, okay. So apart from this ingress network, we don't have any overlay network. So when you initialize the Docker swarm, automatically this ingress or this gateway bridge network will automatically created, okay. So now I have that file, docker compose file. Now I'm going to deploy this compose file, this compose.yaml file. Automatically the stack will read this compose file, docker stack will read this complete stack, this compose file. And what you have mentioned, like we have mentioned one service which is name is the web, and we have defined one overlay network which name is the webnet. Automatically that webnet, that overlay network and that web service will create it. Okay, so let's verify. So command will be, if you want to deploy this YAML file through the docker stack deploy, so command will be the docker stack deploy -c, then the file name is the docker dash compose dot yaml. Okay, and then the stack name. So I'm going to define the stack name as a demo. Okay, command is the docker stack deploy -c, and the file name is the docker dash compose.yaml, and then the stack name. So this is the demo, the stack name, I provide the demo name. You can change with that your according your name, which you want. So let's press enter. So what the message is reflected: creating network demo webnet. Okay, so so demo is the, firstly is create the network which is the overlay network. Okay, because the service is created under this overlay network, so that's the reason is created firstly the network, because network is not available. So it created the network name is the demo is the name of the stack. So firstly following the suffix as a stack name, so suffix is the demo. So demo is that your stack name, and then in the compose.yaml file you define the network name as a webnet. So from there is taking this name. Okay, let me verify that both of the name, demo and web, this web is the service name. So here you define the network name is the webnet here in that compose.yaml file. Okay, and here you define that service name as a web. So that's the reason is taking the complete service name demo is that your stack name underscore your service name which you define inside the compose.yaml file. Same way it taking the demo as a stack name, and webnet is the network name which you define inside the compose.yaml file. Okay, so let's verify that network is created or not with the help of docker network ls. So friend is created that network, the name is the demo underscore webnet, this is the network id, and this is the driver which is the overlay, and it network is the SRAM network. Okay, let's verify the service even as well. So with the help of docker service ls, so it's showing the service id, the service name, the demo and underscore web is the replicated, and we require the two number of replicas. So here we can check that two replicas are running. Okay, image the Nginx latest, and port number is that port is the 80 port is the node port, and this 80 port is the container port, and protocol is the TCP protocol. Okay, let's verify that stack is are running or not. So docker stack ls is the command. So yeah, it's showing that demo stack is running, and it's under this stack there is a one service we have defined. Okay, so if you want to more details, so you can check with the help of docker stack ps. If you want to how many container, how many tasks are running inside this stack, so you can check with the help of docker stack ps, and then after your stack name is the demo. So in under this demo stack there are two tasks is running for this specific service. This is the task id, this is the task id, this is the name of the task, demo underscore web.1, and both are using the Nginx latest email, and both are running in the single node. This is the node ip, and both are running on the same node, and it's running last 2 minutes ago. Okay, so if you want to means check the container is running or not, so let's verify container as well with the help of docker net container ls. So it's showing the two container is running. This is the container id, this is the container, this is the container name. Okay my friend, So let's verify that the Nginx service are running on port number 80 or not. So I'm going to find my public IP for this node, particular node. So this is a public IP. So I'm going in my browser and hit in this public IP. I don't need to attach the port number because we are running this service on the port number 80. Okay, so we are I'm do not attach any port number after the IP. Okay, just press enter. So yeah, it's reflecting the output welcome to Nginx. So that's the reason our service is running successfully with the help of the docker stack compose.yaml file. Okay, it's very easy to manage all your that application in a single goal. You have created only that single file. In that file, it read the docker stack read all that required details, like how many service required, how many replicas you require, what is the image you define, and how many network you want to create, and accordingly in a single command you can create your complete that application. Okay, so if you want to delete that application, or if you want to remove that complete application, so you need to delete the stack. Okay, so how you can delete the stack? With the help of docker command will be the docker stack rm, and your stack name is the demo. Okay, so this is command is first. You don't go individual delete the service, you need to go via delete the stack. Okay, so the command is the docker stack rm demo. Let's press enter. So it's removing firstly that service, and after that it's removing the network even as well. Okay, firstly it's remove the service, and then it's remove the network which is created. Okay, so let's verify first the service docker stack ls, no stack is showing. Let's verify the service as well, docker service ls, no any service is running. Let's verify the container as well, docker container ls, no any container running. Let's verify the network as well, docker network ls, and is showing that that network webnet network got removed. Okay, there is no any this webnet network. Okay, so in this way you simply created one YAML file. At that YAML file you define all your detail the required details, like how many service you want, what are the replicas you want, how many network you want, all these details, and a single command you run your complete application. It is very useful. Okay, so I think you understand what is the use of the docker stack. If you have still any doubt, any suggestion, please let me know inside that comment section. Thank you for watching.